Hello, Gorillas. This is episode 6, season 4 of Guerilla Opera Podcast. My name is Tae Kim, ensemble pianist, and I'll be your host for this episode. Today, Tláloc Lopez-Watermann joins us to talk about lighting as we prepare for the upcoming watch party of Giver of Light on February 18th. Let's dig in.
I'd like to ask you some questions.
Go right ahead.
First, my first question for you
Thank you for joining us today. Let's get right to the chase. With the title being Giver of Light, it seems as though the production focused extra attention to the lighting design, with some of the most visually stunning effects throughout the piece. Could you share your own experience of making this opera?
Yeah, for me it was very important, with Rumi and his work in terms of transcending, into understanding. And so it was really important for me to work with the team and try to figure out how we can find that moment of transcendence and bring it forward in the right moment. And also, say that in the storytelling with lighting that is not just in our minds. So we needed a way to make that be the case, and we talked a lot about it. And the scenic design was stunning as well. And so we were able to I think achieve that with a black light effect that brought out the writings on the wall that were written in black light tape or black light paint. But moreover, I think at every moment and every turn, just trying to reacquaint myself with the story in that regard. Like that's what it all should be about in terms of my thinking and how it comes across the audience.
I guess I'm gonna go straight into the more of a personal question to the line of your work. How does your role complement or clash with the director per se?
Well, I think with me, the director, it's the collaboration with directors is one of my favorite parts, and and then with Guerilla Opera, it's so fantastic because we have this ensemble of people that include I say we. I haven't worked there in many years, but we have this ensemble of people who include the composer and the musicians, and so there's this collaboration that happens that's very scintillating, and so as we talk about things, director will have an idea, and then I'll say, oh, I see, yeah, that makes sense, and then I'll go and I'll come back with another idea or with a parameter, with a limitation that we might have about how we can actually do something, and I'll say, well, I can't really do that, but what if I do this? And so I find it to be tremendously rewarding to work with somebody that has a really strong, great vision ahead of time, and then to be able to bring new ideas even to that and have that be a sum of a sum greater than the parts.
Right.
So
Starting with The Heart of a Dog, you've done multiple projects with Guerrilla Opera. How do you approach pieces that were never produced before? Do you see the score and say that part should have red overhang light and that one should have no light? So how do you come up with your design?
It's difficult, and sometimes it's more difficult than others if there's no recording to listen to, because I think sometimes I tend to listen to things and then get a feeling and emotional valence out of that, and then that's kind of how it pulls together. However, again, with the ensemble mentality, oftentimes the director has has been mulling over the piece for a long time, and the scenic designer, and etc. So then all those things combine into this emotional. With Heart of the Dog, I mean, is a great example of that. We have this feeling of the carnival barker that brings you through, and you're not really sure where you are, and there's diaphanous fabric everywhere. And so for me, I wanted the lighting to be pretty mysterious. And so sometimes, you could see a shaped piece of fluorescent lighting through 3 or 4 pieces of diaphanous cloth. And so what is that? And what are you, as an audience member walking through the space, what are you pulling back to see about that piece at that particular moment? And I think that the music kind of is along the lines of that, and having, the Rudolph, the composer, there to talk with them about that as well. And, that it was always a great metaphor for all of the guerrilla opera pieces, because it's like an onion, and that piece was like an onion in its visuals as well. So
Right. Any challenges you faced in the Giver of Light?
we had to figure out how to get the timing right for the black light effect to bring those things forward, because those don't dim, they just turn on, and they have this big those lights have these big lamps in them that are, I think they're like an arc lamp, and they ramp up, and they have their own sort of time signature to them. They, there's a certain amount of time, and so you have to find the right moment in the music for that to happen, and then have it still feel right when the brightest point of that arc happens.
So
for
it's
that
not
moment.
necessarily on and off thing. It's more of gradual turning on in some ways.
Yeah.
Is that? Oh my.
Yeah, there's a little bit of gradualness to it. There's it at the very beginning, it's kind of an on.
Mm-hmm.
It's an on, and then it starts to ramp up from there. And so you have to figure out, like with the music, and without giving away your trick at the wrong moment, you also and still have it make it look feel right.
And then look great. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. I haven't seen, to be honest, that in video format.
You should join us on the 18th.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to join you. Yeah, because I've seen it in real life, but I haven't seen it how it looks on film. And I think there's always some challenges when you have a lot of parameters, like the spaces that we work in have very low ceilings. There's only a certain amount of dimmers. All of those things are not problems. They're the tools you're given, and so then you have to go from there and figure out how do those tools tell this story, and very specifically this story, and make this thing work. And the whole black light coming on in that particular ramping up situation, I've used other lighting units before in other shows, like a Romeo and Juliet that I did, where there was I used a big giant parking lot light on a stand on stage right, and it turned on, and it went through green and then pink and then white, and this was all during the crypt scene, and it was only that light, single light, and one spotlight, and it was very powerful.
Yeah.
But it's also a risk, right? Because if that light goes out, you're screwed. But and it's not necessarily because I didn't have any other lights, but it's because that light had put some tension in a particular kind of tension, and particular with that angle of lighting, and it really I felt added to the scene in a way. And so you're using the limitations of one kind of equipment in order to do a very specific thing.
So cool.
Open the door, John, and we'll be starting to come to terms with reality.
So how did you get into lighting design?
When I was in ninth grade, I was sitting in physical science class, and the teacher said, the speed of light is 10 times 3, whatever it is, I can't remember right now. And I was immediately in daydreaming mode, and I was like, how do I couldn't even hear. I was like, the teacher went from talking to and I'm thinking of having a box in my hands with mirrors pointing inwards that has light bouncing back and forth in it, so I could hold it, because it was like this amazing thing that moves super fast. And how could that possibly be? And I just went into this sort of like art project in my head. And then that day he said, you need to figure out what to do for science fair. And so I said, I want to make this wacky mirror box. And he's like, oh, okay. So he didn't say you're crazy. He just said, the problem is that light moves so fast that the best mirrors in the world are 98% perfect. And that 2% of absorption will mean that your light will be gone before you turn it off. It's like so fast. And so my mind went, I had one of these teenager mind blow up moments. And then I asked, well, how did they ever measure the speed of light? And he said, I don't know. I think that's what you should do. So that's what I did for my science fair project. Is I measured the speed of tried to measure the speed of light with like this whole laser setup and everything. And
With the
and I was
stopwatch,
hooked.
right?
I mean, yeah, I was running alongside it. See, I was real fast in high school. No, but so I did that, and I was sort of hooked. And then just as that started to happen, the technical theater class opened up, and I ended up taking that class, and I was the only one who gived any kind of care towards lighting, and I was kind of hooked from life.
Oh, that is so
Changed
cool.
schools and ended up connecting with some college students in the local in Santa Fe, New Mexico, who were technical theater students. And so I would go every Thursday and work with the local college theater.
Wow.
And I would always tell them, it's just a hobby, it's just a hobby, it's just a hobby. And then next thing you know, I'm going to undergrad, I'm going to grad school at NYU, like all these different things, and I ended up doing
That's
this for a
beautiful,
living.
man. That's awesome. That is so awesome.
To the bus stop.
Well, like I remember, the lighting is definitely important, but so like some of my friends will say, floor lamps are so much more inviting than ceiling lights. Do you agree? Or do you have like advice for your friends as to like lighting
it's so
advice?
funny that you say that, because I just got done teaching this course. I'm teaching a lighting design class at ODU, and we did this exercise, and I gave them all a different direction of light. We went from person to person. So I says, your direction of light is a candle on a table, and there's a person above it, and the light is hitting the face. And so then they had to talk about that and imagine. I didn't show them any pictures. I think they hated that part. I didn't show them any pictures. They had to imagine it in their heads, and then they had to describe what the emotional valence of that particular angle of light is. So when your question, you said, is overhead light worse or better? And the truth of the matter is it's a bit worse, because it can get a little harsh, and it can put a lot of shadows where you don't want them, and it can make you look a little old, like
I like this. I'm taking notes now. This is great.
And the old movie divas would travel with China, those China lanterns, they call them China lanterns. I don't know what they're really called. They're paper balls, right?
Right.
They would travel with them, and they would have to have those near the cameras, so that the light would be super, super soft, and so that they would take away any wrinkles on their faces.
No way.
Look younger. Yeah. So it's
cool.
a definite thing.
That's so cool. I never knew. Oh man.
And so the angle of lighting is the key, and it's just a matter of where it comes from and what you're trying to say at any given moment. Right. So.
And I really appreciate the fact that it's not just the lighting that's affecting you. It's just the emotional content behind that lighting, that actually is very important. Do you have any future collaboration with the Guerrilla Opera soon? I hope soon, actually. After
I
COVID.
don't know. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. There's nothing on the books yet, but
Um,
we shall see. And I've been doing a lot of internet theater and internet work.
mm,
We did I did a show where I was the video director, where there were 10 actors in remote locations, and we brought everything together and then live streamed it out. And
whoa.
with green screens and putting them together. And a third of the way through the show, there was a lottery about what five of the different performers were going to play. So it was just a maddening amount of programming and trying to figure out what to do and how everything kind of gets routed and stuff.
Um,
So I don't know if I'm definitely still doing lighting design, but I've also sort of gained this other side of my life now with video because of this pandemic, and we all had to keep working.
right.
So
Yeah, same here.
so
So,
yeah.
do you have anything else to add
Well,
about?
I will say in parting that I think guerrilla opera is one of the most fantastic things, because of the motto, not the motto, but the sort of mission statement of having a group of people who are instrumentalists and singers, of the same numbers, and that they're commissioning work, and they're making new work in this era. And I think it's fantastic, and it's the right thing to do for our art.
Could it be I had a hunch? Could he be the one I've sought? Could he be a friend, a singer, a fellow, giver of
So
Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you at the watch party.
all right, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
see you
that'll
there.
be fun. And this concludes this episode of the Guerrilla Opera Podcast. Hope to see you at the watch party of Girl of Light on the 18th. And of course, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe and support us on Patreon. Thank you for tuning in. Till then.